In today's video, we head up for a quick morning flight with just a couple of simple objectives in mind. First, we're still working on getting Rebecca more comfortable in the airplane. Second, even though it's not required for VFR flight, we'll conduct a simple airborne VOR check. And third, we'll look at a couple of key ForeFlight features that I use for VFR flight. By popular demand, an in-depth video devoted solely to how I use ForeFlight is coming real soon. So let's go. All right, you ready to go? Fairmont traffic, Skyhawk 3852 Lima, taking runway 23. Going to be making a straight out departure, southeast bound, Fairmont traffic. Mixture's rich. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Bring this power in. Good engine power. Good engine instruments. Let's come off the brakes and go fly. Airspeed is alive. 40, 50, 60, rotate. Yeah, this is great climb today. Over 500 feet per minute with 3 of us in here. And Fairmont traffic, Skyhawk 3852 Lima, off runway 23, climbing through 1,800, making a left-hand turnout, departing the area southeast bound Fairmont traffic. Let's call Clarksburg approach and get flight following, even though we're just going. Clarksburg approach, Skyhawk 3852 Lima, VFR request.
November 3852 Lima, Clarksburg.
Clarksburg approach 3852 Lima is 172 slant alpha. We're about 2.5 miles southeast bound, or southeast of Fairmont Airport. We'd like traffic advisories, please. We're going to maneuver over Tiger Lake for a bit and then head back in. Getting warm in here now.
November 3852 Lima, squawk 0120.
0120 for 52 Lima.
Beautiful out, the sun.
Yes, it is. Quite lovely.
November 3852 Lima, radar contact, 5.5 miles northeast of Clarksburg Airport. Maintain VFR altimeter 3032.
All right, 3032 VFR, position altitude check, spot to it. All right, there's 3,500. So let's go ahead and level the nose, build up a little bit of speed, and then we'll pull some power back, like 2,300 RPM or so. All right, let's do the carb heat check right now. So that's good. See, that's the reduction of RPM, but it's not rough.
Yeah.
And so we let that burn just for a second, and then we'll push carb heat in and we'll do the test that we came up here to do. Now, I don't do the best job explaining this here in flight, but there are 3 ways you can conduct the VOR check. First, on the ground, using a VOR test facility, or VOT, is the preferred method. If your airplane has just one nav radio, then either on the ground or in flight, if you're on a published radial to or from a VOR over a prominent landmark, you can check your VOR that way, and the tolerance there is plus or minus 4 degrees if you're on the ground at an airfield, or plus or minus 6 degrees if you're in the air. And finally, the way we test this VOR here today with 2 receivers tuned to the same VOR. In this case, these radios must be within 4 degrees of each other. So one of the things I wanted to do today was what's called a VOR check, and that is aligning that we have 2 nav radios in this airplane, and so every 30 days you're supposed to do a VOR test. Now, because we have 2 radios, we can do this airborne and tune them both to the same VOR station and see if they're within 4 degrees of each other, and that would be considered a successful test. If we only had one nav radio, we couldn't do the test this way. We would have to do a much more complicated airborne test. So what I'm going to do for now, I'm going to tune in 112.6 on both of these nav radios. That's Clarksburg's VOR. And then I'm going to spin this dial around until the needle centers up. And I'm going to get an idea of what heading that would be to Clarksburg. That would be like a 065. So we'll put this on 065 as well. Oh, look, they're drifting. So let's go back to the, because we're pretty close to this VOR. So I would say 058, 058. Those are within a degree of each other. So we'll mark down when we get back in the logbook that we used Clarksburg VOR while we were over Grafton, and on the 060 radial they were within 1 degree of each other. So that's a good VOR test that we've accomplished there with that. So we can mark that in the logbook, and we won't have to do that again for 30 days. 2 things I should have done better on that VOR test. 1, being further away from the VOR station would have helped, and 2, flying along an established radial to or from the VOR station would have kept the needle centered longer and made it easier to test. So the other thing, we're being conscious of time here. It's a short flight today. The other thing I wanted to do, I'm going to actually make a right-hand turn so we can get some of that lake and the outside camera looking across the nose of the airplane.
I got some from in here too.
All right. So the other thing to briefly talk about before we head back towards Fairmont is the various ways that I like to, the benefits that I see of using ForeFlight as a VFR only pilot. Kind of the things that it adds. The first thing for me is when it's paired with a ADS-B end device like we have in this airplane in the Stratix unit that I built from a kit on Amazon. Is ADS-B traffic, which is a huge safety consideration for general aviation pilots. So traffic is probably the first thing I would say about any electronic flight bag that you would use, whether it be ForeFlight or FlyQ or any of them, would be just the situational awareness of traffic in your area. Secondly, I think it's a tremendously helpful tool for flight planning, and also understanding your location in space beyond just the normal VFR visual cues that we use as VFR pilots. It's a great tool for that. A couple other things that I have mine configured for across the bottom of the screen. We don't have a flight plan currently, so let me put Fairmont as our next waypoint. Let's go direct to Fairmont and see what it says. All right, so it shows you obviously your magenta line, kind of the route you would travel if you were going to fly there. You've got distance to your next waypoint, I've got configured across the bottom, time to your next waypoint, ground speed, estimated time to your destination, and then my new favorite is this descent to destination feature, which shows you how fast you would have to, if we were to start descending right now, we would have to descend at 440 feet per minute in order to reach our destination at ground level. Super cool feature. The lake is really neat.
Yeah.
With all the fog. Jensen power plant up over there. All right. So at this pace, we would be back to Fairmont at 9:31. We'll do a more in-depth ForeFlight video in its entirety, where we can do the flight planning stuff when we're still on the ground and kind of go over all the features. But how's everybody doing? Good? Doing good? All right. We got to show our t-shirts too. I don't know that this is the best place to do it. We have new, we do have some merch. We have some Midlife Pilot t-shirts. Check this out.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Mine yesterday.
I know. I saved mine for today. Those are mainly for our patrons, which you can, certain tiers of patrons are eligible for t-shirts. You can check out t-shirts at patreon.com/midlifepilot and the various tiers available. We also got a bunch of these cool new static clings. These are just like window glass clings with our logo. Yeah, pretty cool. So let's think about heading back. We'll get an eye on the fog situation off of runway 23 at Fairmont. And if it's still questionable, then we'll just circle overhead and land runway 5. I'm gonna bet you it's looking better. And approach Skyhawk 3852 Lima. We have your information Kilo, and we are inbound to Fairmont at this time.
Remember 3852 Lima, roger.
Lovely.
So, runway.
Yep, so that's going to be Clarksburg off of our left. I don't see, it's got to be right there, that big open area. Fairmont is going to be like right off of our nose. See that, let's look around for some key landmarks. There's the NASA building. You see the satellite dishes like right off our nose, the two white dishes. The runway is going to be just to the right of that.
Okay.
There's, I think, the hangars.
Yeah, I might see it.
So I'm going to go ahead and start a descent now because we need to get down to 2,000 feet to enter the traffic pattern. So to do that, we'll run a descent checklist, which says mixture adjust, power as desired, carb heat as required. So we'll go ahead and bring carb heat in, power back, and get our descent coming.
Valley Falls on the...
Where is it?
You're not going to be able to see it.
Below us.
I got it.
All right, I see all the hangars. I don't know if you can see the runway is like. I gotta tell.
I see it.
Traffic what we're doing. And Fairmont traffic, Skyhawk 3852 Lima, about 5 miles east of the field, descending out of 3,100, going to enter our left downwind for runway 23 Fairmont traffic. Again, the beauty of having two comm radios is that I'm still on with Clarksburg approach, but I'm also listening to Fairmont's CTAF, and I'm able to make...
Number 3852 Lima, no observed traffic between you and the Fairmont Airport. Radar service is terminated. Squawk VFR frequency change approved. Good day.
Squawk VFR and over to advisory for 3852 Lima. Thanks a lot. All right, so now we can go over here on our comm 1.
See, on your right, that's an old coal mine site. That's why there are all those sludge ponds there.
And Fairmont traffic, Skyhawk 3852 Lima, entering left downwind, runway 23 Fairmont traffic. Yeah, the fog is gone. All right, before landing checklist. Seats and seat belts secured, fuel selectors on both, carb heat, airspeed and flaps as desired. Before landing checklist complete. All right, there's pattern altitude, so we'll level off here. Keeping our eyes open for traffic always.
You could see a giant fallen tree in the middle.
All right, we're beam our touchdown point, so let's go ahead and get configured. Bring the power back to 1700. We're inside of the white arc on our airspeed indicator, so we can bring in 1 notch of flaps. We'll start a descent here. Fairmont traffic, Skyhawk 3852 Lima, now turning a left base for runway 23 Fairmont. We got blown way outside here. slowed down, second notch flaps. There's a good speed. Final looks clear. And Fairmont traffic, Skyhawk 385 Lima, turning final, runway 23 Fairmont. Fog burned all the way off, didn't it?
Yeah.
And there's the runway. Dead ahead. Let's work on getting slowed down now to 70 or 75. That. Third notch flaps. That'll help us get our nose over, but also maintain this good airspeed. How'd you like that landing? Pretty good, wasn't it?